Good day. We're going to present our project, which is called Navigating Organizational Dynamics. My name is Alexia Romo. Our team is composed by Eduardo, Nathaniel, Carlos, Mariano, and me, Alexia. And this whole project is based on ProFusionSolar. I'm going to start with the agenda, and I'm also going to explain the first few topics. Let's begin with the agenda. First, I'm going to provide an overview of this project. I'm going to talk about what this project is about the goal of this project, and I'm also going to go through a few key steps that we had to follow in order to complete this project. After that, we're going to describe the research methods that we use. We're going to talk about both the primary and secondary research. Then, my teammates and I are going to provide evidence that we found about the four frames of Bowman and Deal. After that, we're going to provide a gap analysis. We're going to talk about the similarities and differences that we found during the interviews. Then we're going to talk about management best practices. Essentially, in this section, we are going to talk about some practices that we were able to identify that we would like to implement as future managers. And finally, we're going to conclude this presentation. Even though that this is a recorded presentation, we will still like to address some questions if there are any in the feedback section. Moving on to the overview of this project, this whole project is an analysis of ProFusionSolar, which is a renewable energy company. The goal was to identify the practices of this company and identify which of those practices belong to each of the four frames of Bowman and Dill, which are structural, human resources, political, and symbolic. To achieve this goal, we had to conduct primary and secondary research as well as carrying out an interview. And thanks to this interview, we were able to talk with three employees from different organizational levels, and we were able to gather information and also to gain a deeper understanding and deeper insights of how the practices and processes at ProFusionSolar are. Now I'm going to start with the research methods. I'm going to explain the primary research. This research is basically when you collect new data yourself from a particular source, and one example is an interview questionnaire, and we actually carried out an interview questionnaire. In order to obtain this, first we had a brainstorming session. We had a collaborative chat as a team, and we established a clear goal so that we were all in the same page, and also we identified the most relevant information that we needed. And during the actual brainstorming session, we all wrote down possible questions regarding the four frames, and that's how we got our first draft. Now, moving on to the second phase, once we had the first draft, we received feedback, and thanks to this feedback, we were able to eliminate some ambiguous questions or some questions that didn't align with the information that we intended to obtain, and also we modified some questions that they were open ended. And finally, once we had the interview questionnaire, we emailed the CEO of ProFusionSolar and we scheduled an interview. It was carried out through Google Meet because it was the most convenient thing to do for both parties. And we followed a very organized structure, but also we wanted the interviewees to feel comfortable if they wanted to elaborate on one particular question. So we made sure to provide enough flexibility, and also we fostered a professional yet friendly atmosphere. Once the interview started, the whole team introduced themselves. We went through the agenda, and we talked about the goal of the interview, and and we asked them all the relevant questions. Thank you, and now my classmate Nathaniel is going to talk about the secondary research.
All right. So up next, we're just going to speak about the secondary research that we utilized all throughout this project, and that begins with understanding the industry. The market that Profusion Solar dominates is of course Canada. In Canada, it can be seen as kind of a hit or miss. The lucrative view that many have for solar, because it provides, you know, a way to decrease on monthly utility costs, it can be subjected to those limitations, such as the cold weather, the long winters, the federal guidelines that kind of don't help out in terms of the incentive aspects, having true energy freedom. That's something that is a factor, but it doesn't stop Profusion Solar from truly going into the market and the target market. Who do they look for? They look for people that experience um, these high costs. They pay their utilities on a monthly basis, and those utilities are always accustomed to the rate hikes. Now, people want a sense of an allocative lifestyle, a sense of being. In a sense, looking at the competitive analysis, it always seeks to kind of implement a comprehensive plan for its consumers that will kind of assist to find them, their families, a way to kind of live more freely, allocate more money on kids, on everyone else, and the ability to offer things such as extensive warranties, to manufacture and implement its solutions in very thought out manners is kind of what puts them uh, amongst the top, and they're ever growing for sure.
Hello, my name is Mariano, and today I will be talking about the structural frame at ProFusionSolar, based on the information we have gathered with the interviews of several members of this organization. First off, ProFusionSolar is structured heavily on specialization. Each department have their own and unique area of expertise. For instance, the technical team has the most knowledge about the solar panels and how to plan these projects, while sales and customer service will have close contact with the clients and follow up the projects closely in an individual manner. However, these departments are closely connected because, for instance, the sales department needs some technical knowledge and need to have close communication with the technical department in order to be able to fulfill and answer all the questions that the clients require to be answered. So uh, this relies also on high coordination between departments. So based of a hierarchical structure within the company, which is a vertical alignment, strategic decisions are made by the top managers, while the middle management communicates these um, decisions uh, to the rest of the organization. So this makes a clear chain of command where everybody understands their role and responsibilities. In terms of control, the organization uses some performance metrics across the various departments. So, for instance, the person at the middle management told us that these metrics um, seriously increased the overall performance of the employees by promoting accountability of their actions and also help each person understand um, how they contribute and what's their value inside the organization. Um, uh, the member at a lower level on the company recognize that these metrics help them meet their goals and stay focused on their achievements. Um, Also, another important part of the structural frame at ProFusionSolar is that the lateral coordination is equally important as the vertical alignment across the company. Uh, this is mainly because interdepartmental meetings are held regularly to ensure top communication between these departments and allow them to align on tasks, on reaching objectives, and keeping up with the projects, and so on and so forth. So this type of collaboration now enables and encourages problem solving, and encourage also broad thinking and better cooperation in between all the members. So, in conclusion, Proficient Solar Structures reflects the core principles of the structural frame, as we can see, by including this specialization and this vertical and lateral coordination, as well as the performance monitoring, right? So these elements allow the company to adapt to changes along the way in this industry, which is like the renewable energy industry, and which is very new and it's always changing. Um, all right, that makes it with the structural frame, and I will pass it to my teammate Eduardo to explain the human resources frame. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mariano, for the introduction. I'm Eduardo, and I will take you through the HR frame. And the first point is the motivation aligned with the HR theories. In the interviews at all organizational levels, they shared motivations that reflect foundational human resource theory. Entry-level staff highlighted purpose and security, making emphasis on Maslow's hierarchy needs, and middle management focus on achievement and leadership. Regarding to Herzberg's theory and top of the leadership management, they emphasized empowerment and valuing employees. In this alignment shows Perfusion Solar's strong emphasis on intrinsic motivation and meaningful work. Continuing with the second point is the focus of on development. Across the board, employees report access to training programs, mentorship, and financial support for certifications. These initiatives demonstrate the company's commitment for continuous learning, which is a cornerstone of effective HR management and long-term employee engagement. And lastly, our final point will be the people overlay. Although some departments operate with a lean staffing approach, the overall organizational culture favors investing in people by prioritizing development and well-being. Profusion aligns with human capital theory, reinforcing the idea that employee growth drives long-term organizational success. I will review with my teammate Carlos, that he's going to talk about the political frame.
Thanks, Eduardo. Now let's go with political frame. Power and influence. Executive level decision making dominates strategic decision, while middle management translates these decisions operationally. Sales performance directly affects employee influence, recognition, and internal reputation. Resource allocation and bargaining. Departments like sales and technical services negotiate for budget shared, sales seek better commission, while technical teams require funding for tools and training. Leadership must balance short-term motivation with long-term growth. Conflict and coalition. Healthy competition, especially within sales, serves as a motivational force. However, performance leaderboards can also create internal stress. Leadership mitigates conflict through collaborative learning and transparent communication. Now let's go with the symbolic frame with Alexia.
Thank you, Carlos. As it was previously mentioned, my name is Alexia, and I'm going to explain the symbolic frame. When talking about this frame, we inquired about three main aspects. The first one was if there were any values at Proficient Solar and how prominent were they. And the three interviewees stated that there is a strong presence of values at Proficient Solar, and the value that stood out the most was sustainability, and this makes sense considering the nature of the company, which is renewable energy. Everyone at Proficient Solar seems to understand that it's not only about transactions, but they recognize that they are contributing to a cleaner planet, and also they understand that they are helping their customers to reduce their utilities expenses. Also, one interviewee mentioned honesty because it's not only about making a bigger sale, but they actually care about what their customers need. They adapt to what the customer is asking, and based on that, they make the proper recommendations. And the second point was we wanted to know to what up to what extent values influence decision making and the company's operations. And here also we got similar responses because the interviewees stated that values shape actions, and also they stated that there is a clear alignment between the company's values and also how the company operates. Um, for example, they talk about suppliers. When choosing suppliers, they make sure that they are working with suppliers that are environmentally responsible and ethical, especially given the nature of this company. And finally, we ask about how both the mission and the vision are reinforced among employees from different from all the organizational levels. And again, we got pretty similar responses because they stated that these two aspects are reinforced in everyday tasks that range from hiring new employees to holding meetings. And one interview in particular stated that, for example, when they are having meetings, they joke around, and also they have like casual reunions and lunches. And this interview stated that this made them feel a sense of belonging. And according to Bowman and Dill, the elements that belong to the symbolic frame intend to build a shared identity and to strengthen connections. Without a doubt, values are the most prominent aspect that we found at ProFusionSolar that belongs to the symbolic frame. And also humor and play are exemplified when they have casual lunches and meetings. And according to Bowman and Deal, the all the elements belonging to the symbolic frame may increase employee engagement, and also it may motivate them because they know that what they are doing, but they are working towards actually matters. Thank you. And now my classmate Nathaniel is going to talk about the alignments that were observed during the interview.
Next, we're going to speak about the alignments observed throughout this project, and that comes with a sense of new beginnings. When we asked the question, how did you get started here at Profusion? Everyone had kind of their own unique take. Um, Many people come from varying educational backgrounds. Many people come from the hardworking days where they had to grind every day and get to where they are today. And an aspect of the structural frame, the analytical motivational skills, something that's very consistent throughout the workforce. Everyone has a fluent mission, a need towards something, and that something is very unique in a sense. uh, they have a motivator to their day-to-day operations, and that's because they help people out. And in a sense, helping people out and figuring out ways to craft their skills, that's very powerful, which is why the political frame, the power that is given in a sales position, is something that resonates with a lot of its employees. Agents kind of develop their skills as time goes on, and until they become the pioneers of their craft, which gives them a sense of purpose, a sense of freedom to strive towards more financial goals, more company goals. And this is definitely an aspect that's important to every human. Now, looking at the gaps observed, the contradictions throughout the interviews, it the question of what motivates you was very critical. Many people had varying results. For example, taking care of families, providing a sense of comfort for themselves, their loved ones, their children. that was something that's very important. And of course, it's something that people with great values in life, they allocate, they need. Another aspect was the need for financial freedom, the need to strive for their goals. You know, these are critical aspects that brought people to where they are today, and it was very, important to look at. And of course, there is the journey towards success, and that was something that was varying as well. There are many elements for each human that goes through their life. They must craft their skills, learn from good things from bad things, and understand that each day they have a certain desire. That desire helps them seek towards more clarity, uh, where they can further develop themselves as a whole, pretty much. Now, looking at the symbolic attitudes, now Profusion Solar, it carries a very strong value and a need for teamwork. Each day, members have a sense of improvement. They need to um, push each other. And this is what helps a team develop kind of a need for reaching to that next level, reaching towards greater heights.
So regarding best practices in the structural frame, the highlighting the importance of coordination, specialization, and clear decision making is key. For example, a clear structure shapes how work flows and how people stay accountable at the organization. But also, while a structure is key, the possibility of flexibility within the activities and the organizational structure is very important as well. This is to help the people adapt to change that might appear during the operations of an organization, right? So, in terms of specialization, we can see that having specialized departments, for example, sales, customer service, and some technical departments that handle the product itself can be very important. Also, in order to integrate these departments and avoid silo mentality, the communication between them is very essential, and this also keeps the morale high and stays allows everyone to stay encouraged throughout the process of working in the organization. So in terms of decisions, when speaking on a strategic level, always the top management might be the the ones who are taking the most important decisions, and these decisions would be communicated through middle management towards the rest of the members of a company. This is to ensure alignment along all the levels of the organization, right? Also, these responsibilities that are divided in between all the members boost the morale, encourage a sense of ownership and accomplishment among all the members. Another key ingredient of a clear structural frame is using key metrics to monitor progress of members of teams and departments in the organization. So these metrics help to people to stay accountable and view how teams perform and how they can compete among themselves and ensure a healthy organizational environment. Um, so basically, this this structural frame gives clarity, control, and efficiency, and also encourages some competition between departments and adaptability and empowerment of the members, and this ensures an overall good performance and a better reaching of strategic goals. All right, thank you for listening to this session, and now Eduardo will continue with the human resources best practices.
Now, talking about the management best practices in the HR area, In Profusion demonstrates a strong commitment to employee development, motivation, and career growth through training, mentorship, and incentive programs. However, future managers should ensure equal access, transparency, work-life balance, and continuous evaluation to maintain engagement, satisfaction, and long-term retention.
Thanks again, Eduardo. Now let's go with the management best practice political. Balance power and resources. Ensure fair distribution of budgets across departments based on both performance data and long-term value creation. Constructive competition. Encourage friendly rivalry through shared goals and incentives, while preventing burnout through team-based recognition systems. Leverage informal leaders. Recognize influential employees, example top negotiators or product experts, and involve them in mentoring or training roles to reinforce informal structures in a positive way. Now we go with Alexia.
Thank you, Carlos. I'm going to continue with the management best practice number 4, which focuses on the symbolic frame. As future managers, we would like to emphasize values as well because values can either make you or break you. We know that values can be perceived as something that's more individual, but when you are working, that you are going to either help the company build its reputation or you can damage it because what you do professionally affects affects the whole company as well. And we know that at ProFusionSolar, this aspect is strong, and we would like to do that as well. Another thing that we would like to implement as future managers is storytelling, because by implementing storytelling, maybe we can create a deeper and more emotional bond so that the employees can truly almost feel the company or understand everything, all the emotional side about the company. Thank you, and now my classmate Nathaniel is going to conclude this presentation.